welcome back to Metflex and Chill. This is your host, Rachel Gregory, and I'm here with my very, very good friend, Crystal Sikes. How are you doing, Crystal?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. I miss you.
I
I,
know.
I, I'm so excited to share. Well, I'm not going to share your story, but I'm excited for you to share your story with our listeners because I know that you've had an amazing story, and I want them to hear it. And I know they're gonna. There's a lot of people listening who will relate to a lot of things that you've gone through, and so I'm excited. So before we get started, do you want to just give kind of like a general background of kind of your like journey of how you got into nutrition, fitness, all that?
Yeah. So I guess to start us out, I really started paying attention to my health and fitness and nutrition and stuff it's been about 4.5 years. And that's kind of when I started keto and my bodybuilding. And before that, I kind of had the lifestyle of, I guess like college kid, but without the real in-depth college part. I spent a lot of my time just like going to work, drinking when I got home, and smoking, and just thought I was like really cool. And it turns out I wasn't very cool. And I ended up with a bunch of like health issues, mostly with my stomach and my gut, and just had like a lot of paralysis and just a lot of pain and discomfort. And I was having bouts of like vertigo, and it was just a mess. I just never took care of myself. I ate whatever I wanted to, fast food all the time, drinking whatever kind of alcohol was around. And so I decided that it was time to go to the doctors. We spent forever trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And with all of the kind of paralysis in my stomach, they were like, we need you to eat really high sugar, easy digested foods, and a lot of it needs to be liquid. So of course I was drinking like milkshakes and smoothies and just like really high sugar stuff, a lot of fruit. And I was dating Robert, my husband at the time, my boyfriend at the time, but now my husband. And he said, you're going to give yourself diabetes and you're going to kill yourself. And he had started doing keto already. So he asked me to kind of jump on, and I tried it once and I absolutely hated it. And then I tried it again because I didn't give it enough time to actually work. And so it was just, I was in that weird transition period, and I just felt miserable all the time anyways. So I gave it a second shot, and my doctors told me, you need to get more active, you need to do something physical. And Robert was bodybuilding. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll do that. So I started working out and I started eating healthier, and lo and behold, this is my life.
I feel like, because how long ago did we meet? Maybe it was like probably 4 years ago now. I don't even know anymore. But I know Robert was like one of the first people that I've met
Mm-hmm.
in like the keto space.
Yeah.
And I actually like reached out to him, and he was like he did like a little bit of coaching for me for like 2 months. I was just like still beginning, but I think that was, you said 4 years ago is when you started,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I started like January 4 years ago.
Okay.
And Robert started before that. But when we moved to Arkansas is like when we really started to go, we went to the first year KetoCon, and that's
Hmm.
really when things like kicked off for us. So yeah, I guess it was like 3 years ago, probably.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like it feels like yesterday
I
sometimes.
know.
And then
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like it was like 10 years ago. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Anyway, so okay, cool. So, do you want to? I want to dive into kind of like your bodybuilding experience.
Hmm.
So, if anybody listening doesn't follow you guys or doesn't know you, and your kind of journey, do you want to kind of bring us through like your journey from maybe starting keto and then embarking on this bodybuilding kind of journey? I said journey
Yeah.
like 10 times. But, what, like getting into lifting weights and then, you know, prepping for your show and kind of maybe that whole experience and maybe some takeaways that you learned from it and how, like, maybe these are a lot of questions, and
Yeah.
I will go into them if you don't remember them all, but like your experience from then to now and like what you're doing now, and we can just dive into all that. But yeah, just bring us through kind of like your experience.
Okay. So I'll kind of start where I left off a little bit. So I had started my keto journey, and then right after that, I had started doing the weight training and stuff. I didn't really have a goal, and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I did hire a personal trainer, and they pretty much just gave me workouts, and then I went and did them and reported back, and it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know what I was doing. So I got a 24-hour gym membership, and I set my alarm for midnight, and I would go every night at midnight because I had no idea what I was doing, and I was so afraid. In my mind, I had this idea that like all gyms were made of these big, huge bodybuilders that were all going to judge me. And I had never really spent any time in the gym. So that's all I really knew. So I went to like a smaller 24-hour gym where you just have like this access key, and I would go in the middle of the night, and there was only like one or two other people in there. They never talked to me, never bothered me. I just did my own thing. So I just was like really insecure. And prior to starting my kind of journey, I was skinny, but I had a lot of body fat. So I was little, but I still had a lot of body fat, if that makes sense. I was like skinny fat.
Skinny fat,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's kind of where I was. So I felt pretty confident, but then when it came to any type of strength or looking any certain type of way with muscle, I was super insecure about it. So that's pretty much how I started, just like going to the gym by myself in the middle of the night. And then Robert,
I feel like I knew that, but I forgot. So, but I mean, what you said, like, I feel like a lot of women, especially, can relate to that, like being super intimidated by the gym and by what people think. And we can chat about that after you finish going through that. But definitely, I want to talk about that because I know a lot of people suffer from being intimidated and insecure. So
totally,
but yeah. Continue. Sorry, I won't interrupt.
Yeah. So then Robert finally convinced me to go to a regular gym, and we became workout partners. So of course I was pushed to always do my best and always lift heavier than I thought I could. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have someone there who could really lead me through it. So we actually moved states, and I didn't really think about competing. I've gone to several of Robert's shows and watched the other girls on stage and thought it was really cool and thought, I could probably do that someday. But I never felt like I had enough muscle to step on the stage. So I didn't ever really tell anyone that I was going to. And so I finally just at one point decided, all right, it's time. We're not doing anything crazy right now in life, and I want to push myself to the next level. So I decided to compete in, 2018 was my competition. So just a couple of years ago. And so I did a prep for 22 weeks, and it was a really amazing experience, and I'm so glad that I went through it. But it's been a quick journey. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't compete that early on in their lifting kind of journey, I guess, but I did it and it was amazing.
Yeah. So was Robert coaching you through the prep?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, and people always said like, you're so lucky to have Robert there. And he did all my macros for me and all that kind of stuff. I did my own workouts, and he definitely did all the macros, but it was weird because he was also my boyfriend. So he had to like walk that fine line of like, what do I tell you to do and what do I not? But he pretty much coached me all the way through.
Awesome. And it was strict keto, right? Like,
yep.
The whole time. Okay. I'm just curious, like, did you, and do you still like test ketones or anything like that throughout the time?
During that time, I did test ketones. I didn't do it a whole lot because I keep my carbs really low. So generally on a day-to-day basis, even now, I'll do below like 20 or 25 grams of total carbs a day. And then during my prep, I was 10 grams of total carbs or under. So I didn't really test my ketones because my fat was always really high. Now I do a little bit more protein. I'm just building, and I find that I do really well with a little bit more protein than I had been having in the years prior. I think that I adjusted that more recently, and I feel like I was afraid of protein because it used to hurt my stomach. And I always thought if I eat more protein, my stomach's going to hurt. I do really well with fat. And then I slowly started to play with it, and now I love it. So anyways, that was not what the question you asked.
No, that's definitely relevant. Definitely relevant. So I guess like kind of just going back to your like prep and your bodybuilding journey, is there anything, and this is probably a hard question, maybe, I don't know. Is there like one specific positive and one specific, this is kind of off the bat, sorry, I'm throwing this at you. One positive and one negative that you took out of that prepping experience specifically for within bodybuilding and getting, to that day and show day and all of that? Like, is there just one and one that you can tell us?
Yeah, so I'll go with the positive first.
Okay.
So the positive I would say is I have never in my life pushed myself that hard. I have never went through the extremes of exercising a ton and I just really being strict on my macros. I had never been that strict before, and really pushing myself and knowing that on show day, I literally did everything I knew how to get there. That was probably the biggest positive, because now I feel like I can always push myself more. And probably the biggest negative, I would have started at a lower body fat. I wish I would have already been a little bit leaner than I had started out at. But I mean, that wasn't a really big thing, but I think that could have been beneficial.
Gotcha. Okay. And do you feel like there was any, like, after the show was over, there's kind of, obviously you think about getting super lean, and there being, negative consequences with that in itself, just in terms of like how our bodies work and how, being that lean is not realistic over the long term. You have to kind of come out of it and do a reverse diet. So what was your experience during that time? Did you go through, a traditional reverse diet, and kind of what were your takeaways with that?
Yeah. So again, Robert was my coach, but after my competition, I kind of went crazy, and I stopped telling him what I was doing, and I stopped really using his advice. And he would have had me do a reverse diet. He did my macros. I did not follow them. He didn't even really know what I was doing. But the day of my competition, we went out to a Brazilian steakhouse, and I had all of the meat. And then I went back and I had made a keto brownie. And it was amazing, but I filled my stomach up like a lot. And when you do that, and when you're that low in calories, at the end of the prep, when you're that low in calories, your leptin and ghrelin hormones are all kind of crazy. And it was a mess. So when I had all the food, it felt good. And I finally felt like, oh yeah, I could eat. So it was like day after day after day, I was eating like 5,000 or 6,000 calories, and I would eat so much to the point where I would make myself throw up. I would eat so much that I would throw up, and if I didn't throw up because of the food, I would make myself, because those hormones just weren't really there and active, and my stomach didn't know how to handle all the food after being lower calorie. And it was just, I did not do it the right way. And if there's one bit of advice that I can give the person that's going to go through a competition prep, it would be to make sure that you know that the end of this journey does not end with the competition day. It ends when you get back to a healthy amount of sustainable maintenance calories. I feel like a lot of people go and they do it on that show day, and then they stop. And that's exactly what I did. And I gained 30 pounds in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that you are definitely not, I mean, I've never done a competition, but I've, followed many people who have, and I think, it's something that a lot of people struggle with, especially women, coming out of that. And then just in general, realizing like, and I actually just recorded a solo episode about this that came out today. Actually, someone, I do Q&As on Fridays, and someone asked, how do you get very lean? Like that was the question. And so I was like, oh man, how do I answer this? So I like dove into a bunch of different things, but the whole kind of, end answer was like, you can get very lean. You have to, there's a lot of sacrifice you have to make. And my kind of advice was, obviously I haven't gotten as lean to step on stage, but it was, you have to have a, specific goal and a specific reason why you're doing it, but then also realize like that is not realistic to stay at that body fat percentage. Like that's just so unhealthy to be there. And I think you can stay there for a small amount of time if it's a photo shoot or a bodybuilding show or anything like that. But like the biggest thing is you have to be educated, right? Educated on how to come out of that. And if you're not educated and aware and you don't maybe have a coach that's helping you through that, then you're going to probably struggle a lot. So is that something like, would you say, like with having a coach, maybe do you think that like obviously Robert was your coach, but maybe having someone outside that, because I know like for me, if I had like my anybody in my family as a coach or anything like that, like it's just a different kind of mentality, right, towards maybe your family or a friend coaching you versus someone who's outside of that. So that's like for me, I have one-on-one clients and I would never take a family member on as a client, just because it's just a different relationship. Do you feel like that would have been something different, like if you had an outside person?
Yeah, I do think that would be different. Even now, I wouldn't care telling him. I would say I'm having an issue and I need you to help me. But during that period of time, I was not confident because I had never gone through something like that before. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that it would have been really good to have like some sort of accountability outside of that. If I had a coach that wasn't my boyfriend, I think that could have been really helpful. And he did ask me and I just denied everything. And that was wrong of me because I wasn't helping myself and I wasn't helping him to help me. So I think a big bit of advice would be to find someone that you can trust to talk to. And not that I didn't trust him, but that you feel confident in telling your biggest mistakes. Even if you do go crazy, you can at least tell them like, hey, I did this and I need help figuring it out. Rather than going down the rabbit hole and screwing yourself up for months, it could have just been a week,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great advice. Completely agree. So I guess, coming out of that 3 months after you show, kind of going from there, what did you do to kind of turn things around and start to feel better and all of that?
Mm-hmm. So I stopped tracking food. Okay. And I wasn't really tracking before, but I kind of would say, oh, how many calories have I eaten today? But I stayed keto. I tried to go like all meat, and that was not a good thing for me because you can still binge on meat in case you're wondering. And so I kind of just stuck to, I'm not going to eat from this hour to this hour. I just want to like stick to a certain amount of meals. I had to give myself a lot of grace and just realize, okay, I am where I am. And that was the heaviest I'd ever been in my life. So I went from the leanest I'd ever been in my life to the heaviest I'd ever been in my life in 3 months, which was horrific.
Could you, you don't have to, but can you just tell us, like what your leanness was in terms of numbers? I'm just curious. I know.
Yeah. So on my competition day, I was 127 and I could have definitely gotten leaner. But.
And what was your body fat percentage? Sorry.
I didn't have a DEXA scan, so it wasn't as accurate. When I went to the InBody, it said I was about 13%, but I really think that I was more like 15 or 16. So I could have definitely gotten leaner, but I also wasn't built huge. So I think that having a little bit of that fat on me was actually kind of beneficial for me. So gotcha. I did get down. I got down to 127 and then I got up to 160. And when I saw 160 on the scale, I was like, there's something wrong. I should probably do something about this. It was a weird feeling. And for anybody who is listening, that is not heavy for everyone. And my body type is going to be totally different from yours. So just because I'm saying numbers doesn't mean that that's the same for you. But
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to share that too, because like there's people who step on stage at 160.
absolutely, they
So
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the numbers, like they're relative to you,
Mm-hmm.
but I just kind of wanted to share that because I wanted that to come out as well. So sorry,
Yes.
now I'm
Yeah.
interrupting you more.
No, you're fine. That's
Yeah.
good. So yeah, I don't remember what I was
No, no,
saying.
you're good. So after that 3 months, kind of how did you kind of
Right.
turn things around when
Mm-hmm.
you hit that mark?
Yeah, so I did realize I had to give myself a lot of grace when it came to food, and I realized I was way overeating. So I kind of stopped worrying so much about going crazy. I told myself I'm not allowed to go crazy. I'm not allowed to have snack foods. I can only have meals. And a little bit after that, I was having some hormonal issues, more like neurotransmitters. During my prep, we launched a business. And we just had so much stuff going on. I was still working like a full-time job, and I was coaching, and I had started another business. So it was just a very stressful time. Everything was, oh my gosh, my cortisol level like was non-existent. Like it wasn't high, it was just not there. My
Wow.
adrenals were like super shot, and so during that period of time, I started working with someone to try and fix all of that. And I really think that just giving myself a huge amount of grace was what was really needed, because I wasn't losing weight. I wasn't gaining any more weight, but because my body was so stressed out, I wasn't losing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I was kind of getting back on track, it was like my body just wasn't responding the way I wanted it to. So I learned that meditation is very important, and giving yourself a little bit of a break for workouts and recovery and all that kind of stuff. It's just so important. And over the next 2 years, I lost like 25 pounds, and I didn't diet. And that's what was amazing to me, is I did something to my body that I wasn't supposed to do. I overate, I went crazy, my hormones went nuts. And then as I started healing that and just giving my body some grace, the weight just fell off without having to diet.
Super important, because a lot of people don't take into account that entire stress response and managing that stress. And it's like, yeah, nutrition is important and understanding that is important, but like there's so much else like to that, right? So yeah, I love your story. I love that you're sharing it. I do want to dive into some of the hormone things real quick. So what can you bring us through kind of like your process for basically, figuring out, okay, my hormones are crap. How do I fix this? Like, were there certain tests you got done? You said you started working with someone. Was there a process you went through? Can you take us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so I didn't know that I had hormone problems, but all of a sudden I just felt miserable, and it was supposed to be like a super exciting time. Like Robert and I were engaged at this time, and I was supposed to be really happy, and I was tired all the time. I got really depressed. I had a lot of anxiety. I like anything that I did, I would like get like shaky, nervous about it. And it was just a really miserable time. Robert always said, like, you look like a zombie. Like, you just look like you're walking around and like don't know what you're doing with yourself. And he wasn't trying to be mean. He was just like, you need to do something about it. Like
Yeah.
you have to get happy again. So I said, there is something wrong with me. I know that this is not who I am, and something else is going on. So I thought, well, maybe it's my thyroid, because I have family with some thyroid stuff. So I don't have a local doctor that I just love. So I ended up finding someone online, using them, and getting my thyroid panel done, and everything seemed to be fine. So I waited a little bit longer, and going about it this kind of way it's a little bit more expensive, but I felt like if I didn't fix myself, then I was just going to keep going down the rabbit hole and just make myself more miserable. So I decided to continue to test and do all of my neurotransmitters and my sex hormones, and just see if maybe something was going on there. I tested my cortisol and all that. And my sex hormones were pretty good. And I had just recently come off of birth control. And so actually they jumped back really quickly. I did really great. My testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, my ratio was off a tiny bit, but it wasn't too crazy. There was a few things that we wanted to adjust there, but mostly it was like all of the areas where you get your energy from, they were all pretty much just, they were so low that she said, I don't even know how you're running. My epinephrine was super high and everything else was super low. And so she said, you're just running off of adrenaline right now. And so, yeah, then we went through kind of the process of healing all of that.
Yeah. So, and when you say neurotransmitters, just so people can understand, what are you referring to with that?
Yeah, so that would be all of that is where like all of the energy sources. So there's oh gosh.
You don't have to go through. I just want to make sure
Okay.
people like neurotransmitters are and all.
Yeah. Yep. So it's pretty much where you're getting all your energy, your kind of your go-go juice, and your stress responses and things like that.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So you went through, you figured out, okay, I need to fix this. Is there anything like specific, and we don't have to dive into everything, but like specifically in terms of supplementation or diet changes that you made, exercise changes, anything like, how did that look?
So I didn't do anything to my exercise at first, and I just played around with my nutrition and supplements. I'm not a big fan of supplements. I like to get all of my nutrition from food if I can, but I did have some supplements that I took. I took a lot of B vitamins, a lot of D. There was an adrenal support kind of supplement that I was taking. There was actually quite a few in the beginning, and I then realized, like, oh my goodness, I have to do something else because I can't afford all these pills.
Yeah.
But with the food, we did try to mess with a few different things. I ate a little bit more cruciferous vegetables. I was pretty clear on the fact that I didn't want to really mess with a whole bunch of carbs, but I did have like a little bit more vegetables. I had some like flacker crackers.
Yeah.
I had some whole dairy yogurt, like a whole milk dairy yogurt. And then we kept my fat super high. We kept my protein pretty moderate. And then I kind of played with the protein a little bit more and started to increase that on my own. I noticed that when I did increase my vegetables and things like that, I was super bloated, and that's just how my body responds to it. So I kind of started cutting those out again. And then I kept my fat and my protein kind of where I thought it would be happiest at. And then I really increased my calories. I think increasing my calories was huge. Not that I was under eating, but I wasn't in a surplus. So having that extra amount of calories got my body out of that always stressed all the time. I didn't fast ever, where I was fasting a lot before, like intermittent fasting. I stopped doing that, and I started having like more like 3 meals a day. And just so my body was always constantly in a state of calm and not stressed that it wanted food or that it needed something. I just wanted to keep it happy all the time. I did with my workouts, those stayed the same for a while. And then I started to do like deep breathing or meditation exercises pre and post workout. And I noticed that helped a lot kind of calm my nerves and everything after my intense workout was done. And then I would go meditate and kind of chill out before I started the rest of the workday. So that was that for a while. And I did end up having to take a kind of a step back from my lifting, not a step back, but just take more days off. So I worked out 2 days and I took a day off, and then I worked 2 days and then took a day off. And then I did lighten the weight that I was lifting, and now I'm slowly making a comeback.
Yeah, you are. No, I love that. And I love kind of everything you said. And it's really, sometimes people, I feel like especially women, it's like, if they're struggling with something, there's all kind of this scapegoat that it's my hormones, right? And it probably is, right? But sometimes, and this is with anything, like in like how we think of things nowadays, especially within our modern society with all the medicine and supplements and all of that stuff, like, yes, they have their place at certain times, especially, specific supplements for what's going on. But if you can, sometimes a lot of these hormone issues, especially with women, with cortisol and maybe, losing your cycle, things like that, a lot of that can generally be fixed by just eating more food.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard. It's easy to say, and maybe it's easy to do because who doesn't love food? But it's hard mentally, especially for women, because it's like, I don't want to gain weight. I don't want to, that's so uncomfortable. Like a lot of women want, obviously, the goal is to look good, feel comfortable. But a lot of these issues, rather than like, spending tons of money on getting tests done and all that stuff, and tons of money on like trying to take supplements, if you are not starting with, okay, I need to take a step back, and if I'm seriously having issues like that are affecting my life, and I'm maybe walking around like a zombie or always stressed out and can never get into, like you said, that happy place, like usually the answer for most people is you need to start eating more
Yep.
nutrient dense food and get off the treadmill if that's what you're doing. So I just want to kind of say that, but then also say that like it's not easy to do. And I think
Right.
sometimes having, again, like for me, my biggest thing is like once I hired my coach like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, whatever, maybe, like that completely changed my life, because I had someone else that I could bounce ideas off of, someone holding me accountable for things, teaching me and just learning more about everything. And so I think that if you are someone who's struggling with that, especially if you're like, okay, I know I have these issues, I know I need to probably eat more, but I don't know how to do that in a comfortable way, and kind of go about it, I think, getting someone to help you with that is super important. So yeah, I love that you said that. Another thing I wanted to touch on, which I did mention, was cardio. So kind of going into cardio and exercise and lifting weights and things like that. Can you give us a little, like, tell us a little about like your experience, particularly with lifting weights, and kind of how that's not only changed your body composition, but just like maybe your mindset and just like everything in general? Because I know like when I started lifting weights, and like when I, work with women and they've gone from, being a cardio bunny to a weightlifting bunny, and they actually start to see their body changing because they're building muscle and, all of that, versus just being on the treadmill all day long. Like, what was your experience with that? And like, how did, I guess, lifting weights, change your life?
Yeah. So kind of as I mentioned before, I was super insecure, and I knew I was thin, but I didn't really, I didn't like love the way I looked. I just knew I was thin. And as I started exercise, or as I started lifting, I should say, I started to notice that I was bringing shape to my body, and I thought I was just gonna get accidentally bulky, which is really hard to do. So for me, it built a internal confidence, and I don't know, I feel strong, but not just like physically. It has built like a strong person internally. To be able to push yourself to the next level every time you walk into the gym it's only a battle that inside of your head, but it builds you up as a person, and you can use those things in life. Like, this is hard, but I could do more. This is difficult, but I can go to the next level. And I think it really does. It works for the gym just as it does it works in your personal life. And for me, honestly, it's just built so much confidence. Like, I don't feel like there isn't anything that I can't do. And, I don't know. I never felt that way before. And it's not even about like the physical look and the physical appearance. It's like, I feel like a strong person, physically, but like I just have that mental power and the willpower to lift more, do more, be more,
I love that. Lift more, do more, be more. Is that your motto? Because if it's not, I'm
No.
taking it.
Go ahead. I just said it.
I love that. I love that. No, I think that's super important, especially with, all the women listening to this podcast. Like, I mean, they hear me talk about all the time, like resistance training and lifting weights. Like if you're not doing that and you want to see change not only in your body, but just in your overall confidence and what I like to call like building a badass, it's like you need to lift weights. Like just do it and do it for a little while and see what happens. Because I promise you, like once you start, it's going to become something that you absolutely love. What advice would you give to maybe someone who might have been in your shoes 4 years ago, who's going to the gym at midnight, or like maybe they walk in the gym and they just kind of, there's so many people around and they feel intimidated to even, maybe walk over to a barbell, which is a big thing. What advice would you give in that realm?
Yeah, there's probably a couple things that I would say is one, get over it.
Love it.
Realize that everyone who is in the gym is there to work on themselves and not to judge you and look at you. They're there to work on them. But if there is someone that you see that you admire, that you can see that they've worked really hard and you need help with something, go ask the person. Likely they will be happy to help you or happy to show you how to do something. If they're not, then they're mean. And just move on to the next one.
Yeah.
But wherever you go, there is going to be a trainer and you can ask for help. Nobody should have any issues spotting you or making sure that you're doing something properly, so that you're preventing an injury. And just go for it. Just go and do you, and don't be afraid, because who cares about other people's opinion of you? You're there to do, you're there to improve yourself, and just go for it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, okay, so kind of switching gears a little bit. So, I guess, we went through your bodybuilding journey, and so where you are now, do you have any, do you ever think you're going to do a show again? Do you have anything else you're more focused on now in terms of, maybe not a show, but like anything else that you're focused on in terms of that, like exercise realm of things?
Yeah, so after my show, I absolutely loved it, and I could see myself doing it again, but not in the near future. I think that was it was a really great experience, and I absolutely loved it, but I think I need a little bit of time, and I really enjoy exercising. Like, I really enjoy lifting. I am not a huge fan of getting dolled up and getting your hair done and your makeup done and getting the tan and
Same.
it's not really my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have so much appreciation for every single individual that steps onto a stage, but it's not quite my thing right now. I did try to do kind of more strong woman stuff, and as I started to do that, I realized that my body wasn't as healed as I thought it was, because I started to notice certain things coming back. So I took a step back and realized, like, Robert and I got married, and maybe in the next few years or something, we will want to have babies. And I really just don't want to stress my body to the point where I have to heal before I can have them. And I think that I need to do the best I can to provide them, that like our future children, with the best future possible. And so I'm going to eat the way I would want them to eat, and I will take care of my body to provide the best pregnancy I can and the future for them. And so I think just building my body really strong and eating properly and eating plenty of food and healthy food and nutrient dense foods. So really right now I lift to enjoy life, and I lift to have the best mom body that I can. And it sounds silly to some people because they're like, Crystal, like, you might have several years. That's fine. I don't care, because that's my goal. And my goal has always been to have children, and I think that they deserve the best. So that's what I do now.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's amazing. Sorry, I'm like, just the way that you talk just gets me so, I don't know, it's inspired. And I don't know. You have like a way of, the things that you say and the way that you say them are just so powerful. So anyway, so I do want to dive into a little bit of kind of your business, right? So you and Robert, you are entrepreneurs. You are seriously, like, just over the years, I have looked up to you guys so much in everything that you do. and you're just so like, if you could define the word authentic and put people's names behind it, it would definitely be your brands and just the hard work that you guys put in. It's like so inspiring, and it's definitely something that's like pushed me. Like, I've looked at you guys, you and Robert, as I've built my business and building my business. Like, I always think back, like, what would Robert and Crystal do in this situation? Literally, I do, because you're just in it for the right reason, and it's like you can just tell by everything, that all the success you've had and continue to have. And just, so I'm just saying, this is me saying thank you, because I don't think I would be here without you guys. So that's me saying thank you. And then I also want you to share with our listeners, if they don't know too much about like your business and where you guys have come from and kind of just your different brands and the things that you've built, can you give us a little background of like, maybe not the entire story, because we could probably record a whole podcast on that, which maybe we will, because it's fascinating. But just give a little bit of, what your businesses are, how they've developed, where they are now, and maybe anything in the near future that's coming.
Sure. So we actually started out with just Keto Savage, and that's really Robert's brand and his business, and that's how he does his coaching and everything. So we started out with that, and the business that we started when I was in my prep was Keto Brick, which is the meal replacement bar. So we actually had always said, like, we're not going to have a business where we have to be in one place. And oddly enough, we came up with this Keto Brick, and it's a ketogenic meal replacement bar. And now we have a crew, we have employees, we have 3 warehouse buildings, and we would not and could not imagine it any other way. It was something that we said that we never wanted, and now that we have it, it's like, why would we never want this? Why would you ever wish that on yourself? The crew is like our family, and so that's pretty much what we're doing day in and day out. They come in, we have a meeting, we make the product, we ship them out every day, and it is absolutely amazing. We also have an apparel line. Right now it's kind of on hold because of the virus and everything, so we can't get any new product in, but we are slowly trying to build that up. And then I just launched Lady Savage, which I'm so excited about.
Me too.
I never really imagined myself having my own thing. I've always been like a little worker bee behind the scenes, and never really thought I would be the one to have my own thing. But as time went on, I realized I really wanted to do something more, and something really geared towards women. And honestly, I just wanted like a really safe place. And I wish a lot of the time during my journey that I would have had a group or a bunch of women that just supported me and loved me. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to build right now. I just launched, I guess this month, a couple weeks ago. And it's already kind of off to a rockin' start. We got several ladies on there, and it's just, I really want to just build a family. And you don't have to be keto, you don't have to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to be anything. You just have to, be a woman.
Yeah.
And be positive and encouraging and empowering. And it's not about me. That the whole business, it's not about me. It's a place for me to also put my coaching on there. But the business was not made for me. It was made with every woman in mind, to help empower them to be the best lady and savage that they could.
I love that. And I think, we have very similar interests in that as well. Like, I'm, not to talk about me, but everything you're saying is exactly what I'm trying to do with my my Metflex tribe. It's the women who have gone through the Keto From program, and they're now in this tribe. And it's really exactly what you said, just trying to build, a place where women can go to just communicate. And like, all of these women have gone through a lot of the same things. Yeah. So, just having a group there and having, we do like challenges and fun things. And, I'm always in there. It's kind of like, I'm able to support them on a more personal basis, but then also have that community together. Yes. And also we do these, Netflix Monday calls, which I'll ask you about that one once we sign off, but I want you to come in and do like a Q&A with them if you want to, because
Totally.
they admire you so much and that'd be fun. But that's off topic. So I just want to, just so everybody knows, what are the names of all of your businesses?
So there's Lady Savage, Keto Brick, Live Savage Apparel, and Keto Savage.
Okay, so I will link all the websites down below and in the show notes so they can check all that out. But that's just like literally you have 4 different businesses.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I don't know how you guys do it. Is there like, I guess, I'm just curious, like if anybody is listening to this and maybe they are in that kind of entrepreneurial experience right now and looking to build their own business or maybe develop a product or something like that, do you have any advice, like one piece of advice that you would give based off of your experience over the last few years?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many pieces of advice I could give you, but I think honestly the biggest thing would be find what you're passionate about. Years and years ago, when Robert asked me for the first time, like what I want to do for the rest of my life, I said, help people. And that was it. Like, I just want to help people. And this is what fell. Like, this is my lifestyle, is what I decided, like, that's how I want to help people. And I really thought it was the medical field. And then I quickly realized that that's not how I wanted to go about it. I wanted to help people prevent from having to go and be in the hospital and all of the areas that I was working in. And so find what you're really passionate about and what you love, and that is the key. I really think that you aren't going to be authentic, you aren't going to be able to be real, you aren't going to be able to love your life every single day if you aren't doing something you're passionate about.
I love that. And I completely agree. And I think too, like just kind of going through, the few years of just building a business and all of that, you really kind of understand like what actually matters and like what makes a difference. And like I actually have a quote on my whiteboard over here. I have this tiny little whiteboard compared to so I went to Crystal and Robert's I guess house and /
warehouses,
and there's literally whiteboards all over the place, and I'm like, I need this. It's just like so funny, but I mean it's cool. So I have this like quote that I never erase, and it says, you don't need to change the entire world to build a successful business, you just need to change someone's world. So I have that and I look at it every day, and it just like keeps me grounded in what I'm doing. And I know, like, obviously everything you just said you can completely relate. But yeah, that, I mean, I'm answering my own question, but I feel like exactly what you said, like the best advice is just like do something that you're passionate about and just think about like how you can help others, and because that in itself is just so satisfying. Like, it's not the money, it's not the social media followers and the likes and all that crap. Like, yeah, whatever, that's there, but, and yeah, you need to make a living and make money, but what truly matters is like helping other people and changing, just changing one person's life. So I know you feel me on that. So
yes, yeah. Totally.
Well, this is awesome. So I do have a few final questions for you. Okay, so the first one is there anything that you have changed your mind about in the last year, and why? It's a hard question, I know.
Yeah, it is a hard question. I've had a lot of things change in the last year. I think one of them is a really big one, and I think that is that rest is good. I know that seems really silly, but rest is a really good thing. And when you are someone who has 4 businesses and always wanting to strive and do and be more, you will run yourself ragged, and you will think, I'm so happy doing all of this. I love it. I love it. I love it. But then you need to realize that rest is good, and you will accomplish and do and be more if you rest. So I think that's a really big thing. And then just self-love doesn't have to be selfish. Like, wow. I've given myself enough love that I was able to build a the business that I have with Lady Savage, because before I had doubts of myself and I didn't love myself enough to know that I could, and I could do that, and I could be more. So I think that those are two of probably the biggest things. Like, your self-love doesn't mean that you're going to always do it in a selfish way. I built myself, and my love for myself has helped me to help other people.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I feel you 100%. It's like you have to, invest in yourself first and, do the things and be, maybe it is selfish. Like maybe you do have to be selfish to get to that point. But exactly what you said, like self-love is not selfish. You're literally, what you're doing to build yourself up and create that every single day, that is you're bringing your best self to your family, your business, only if you can do that first, right? Like if you don't have, if you don't have any kind of runway to pull from or any tank, if your tank's not full, like you are not bringing your best self to other people. So, like for me, and this is actually another question I have for you, like, do you have any type of, like for me, I have a morning routine that I stick to. And if I deviate from that, like I can tell that, I'm not bringing my best self every single day. Do you have anything that you do in the morning or maybe, throughout the day in terms of meditation or whatever it may be that you do?
Yeah, I think mostly I just, in the morning, I like to wake up early. When I don't wake up early, and I never used to be that way. I used to always let the sleep in. Now I wake up super early, and I do get a little bit of work done, but then going for a walk, I love going for a walk. I grab a nice hot cup of coffee and I go for a walk, and that just starts my day off right. And then I do take a midday walk as well. Each one is just like a mile long. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. So I know I get in 2 miles a day, and it's just a nice leisurely walk to clear my mind, get out in nature, and that it just kind of grounds me.
I love that. That's cool. I do like walks in the afternoon. But and then I do my morning routine in the morning, but I've been within quarantine I started implementing morning walks, and now we're kind of out of quarantine now, but anyway, that's a whole other story. No, but I love that. Okay, so last two questions, these are kind of on the fly. So the second last question is there anything that you've been implementing recently within your nutrition, your lifestyle, like within the last month, maybe that you've noticed any benefits from?
Yeah, I think I was talking a little bit earlier about messing with my protein.
Okay.
And that has been probably the most recent thing that I've been messing with. And it's been pretty gradual because I had I had really high fat, and I've just been slowly increasing my protein, and my body's just loving it. And it's not like a crazy high or anything, but just my body is just really loving it. And I also have had a weird aversion to beef for like a year. And so this month I've been incorporating it back. No like stomach upset. No, like I'm loving it. So I've been having like steak and beef and things like that. So I'm constantly trying to figure out how to get in more nutrient dense foods like organ meats and beef and things like that. And I'm not super great at it, but we're working on it. So that's something that I'm constantly trying to push myself to do. And lately bringing in the beef, and I'm loving it.
I love it. I remember when I was visiting with you guys back in, was it December? Yeah. We like got steak, and because you were still going through that, and then you were like, oh, I don't really want to eat the steak, and I was like, oh, I'll eat it. Like, but that just
I wanted to want it, but it just wouldn't happen. But this month has been like a whole nother story, and it's been amazing.
That's awesome. Well, I'm super glad to hear that.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, last question. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Ooh, someone asked me this like a year ago, and I forgot my answer.
Could be anything. I know, I put you on the spot.
Wow, that was I guess I would I feel like I would be invisible, and I know that seems so silly and like so whatever, but I feel like I would be like the know. I feel like I would want to go do things and not have anyone know that it was me, and not to be like the creepy weird
Yeah.
person that just like listens in on conversations. Like I feel like that's what a lot of people would want. But I think I would just like want to go fix situations and not have anyone know that it was me, and just like, here you go, and then you're off on your own little thing. Nobody ever knew because you're invisible.
Oh, I love
But
that.
I don't know what else I would be, so I'm gonna just go with that one. I'll probably think of a better one later.
That's a good one. That's very unique. And I mean, I definitely want to have you on for a part two, maybe, and dive
Yes.
into some other things because I'm sure some people will probably have questions after listening to this. And that's something that I've been thinking about lately, too. Like, I've been doing some podcast recordings, and a lot of people have questions like about the recording. So I'm thinking of doing some like part twos.
Yeah,
So if you're up for that, we can do that, and you can
totally.
think of another superpower. But I like
I'll
that
let you
one, the
know.
one that I like that one, and you.
Oh,
I
good.
mean, it doesn't matter what it is as long as you have a reasoning behind it,
Yeah,
and that was a good reason. So I love it.
we're gonna go with
Yeah, let's go with
it.
it. Awesome. Well, this was so much fun. Do you want to just remind? Well, actually, do you have anything coming up that like fun or exciting that you want to share? Maybe, or if you can share in terms of like business ventures or anything fun, within the next few months that you're excited about.
We do have some big things coming up for Keto Brick, but I cannot let you guys know yet. But I think the most exciting thing that just happened was me launching Lady Savage. I'm just kind of like trying to dive myself right into that and just be there for all the women that I can. So that's definitely the biggest thing. And we'll let you guys know about the Keto Brick stuff because there's some big things.
Oh, I'm excited. I might
Yeah.
have to. Well, you probably can't tell me, but I won't tell anybody. No, no, that's awesome, and I will definitely keep everybody posted on that. And I'll be having Robert, your husband, if listeners don't know, Robert Sikes, Keto Savage, on the podcast in the near future. Had to have Crystal on first though, because you're my girl. So, but do you want to just remind everybody where they can find you on like social media, websites, all that jazz?
Yeah. So my website is ladysavage.com. My Instagram is the.lady.savage. Facebook is Team Savage. And then if you guys are interested in the apparel or the bricks, it is ketobrick.com or livesavageapparel.com. And if you kind of like my husband, then it'll be ketosavage.com. Oh, also we have YouTube.
Yes. YouTube.
Yeah, that's actually under Live Savage.
Okay.
So.
I'm going to link all of those in the show notes. Your YouTube channel is fun. Sometimes, honestly, I like at night, instead of turning on the TV to like wind down, I literally just put you guys up on my TV, like your YouTube channel.
We're just talking you to sleep.
No, it's fun. It's entertaining. And because I remember, didn't Robert post one YouTube like every single day for a year or something?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I don't know how he did
that was intense.
But they were all like so relevant. Like I remember I would just go and like watch them, and it'd just be like so fun to watch. And what's really cool is that I know I'm like kind of going off a tangent. What's really cool is like you talk about kids and stuff, and your kids, and like they're gonna be able to see your journey from the start of building your businesses. Like that in itself is just like so awesome. Like I'm so excited for them.
Yeah, Robert always says our YouTube is, for ourselves as much as it is for anyone. Like it's our photo album, but in videos. And I think that's amazing. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, everybody listening, if you haven't checked out all of the stuff we just talked about, YouTube especially, I will link those in the show notes so everybody can check those out. And then also you do another cool thing is your Keto Savage Kitchen episodes are on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was on one of those too. So if you're interested in keto mac and cheese, we recorded one of those. That was fun. I had like I have bunny ears
the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time from the knives in the background. So if you want to see me looking a little funny with bunny ears the whole time, then check it out. But that was fun, and the recipe, you'll just have to check it out on Live Savage YouTube.
Yeah, Live Savage.
Live Savage. Okay, sweet. I'll link it in the show notes.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, this was fun. Thank you so much for coming on. And like I said, maybe we'll do a part two if anybody has questions, and we can dive into some other subjects.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so
Yeah,
excited about it.
of course. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.